To help us get a glimpse into the future of this unfinished world of ours, there has been created for the New York World's Fair a thought-provoking exhibit of the developments ahead of us, the greater and better world of tomorrow that we in America are building today. Rich in sunshine is the city of 1960. Fresh air, fine green parkways, recreational and civic centers, residential, commercial, and industrial areas all have been separated for greater efficiency and greater convenience. Here is an important intersection in the great metropolis of 1960. Elevated sidewalks give a new measure of safety and convenience to pedestrians. They actually double the available width for traffic in the street.
Congestion is now climbing. Local drivers now spend about 38 hours a year stuck in traffic.
In the past years, Americans have seen their levees fail, leading to massive flooding, cracked bridges buckling, not to mention constant water main breaks and costly traffic congestion.
Curbing urban sprawl, the focus as the community of Columbus gathered last night.
While there's plenty of disagreement on the cause, there's no question on the result. Many urban areas are becoming virtual wasteland.
The American Society of Civil Engineers gave the nation's infrastructure a D grade.
The 1939 General Motors Futurama exhibit predicted 1960s America, a modern world dominated by bridges, highways, and buildings. In the aftermath of the Great Depression, this ride introduced a bright future highlighting America's mass accomplishments and potential to build great things. The result of pushing for the society based on unlimited resources and extreme car dependence has led to environmental, social, and economic decline in the built environment, particularly in urban areas today. It's first important to talk about the movement of people from the city to the suburbs. Before the Great Depression, fewer than half of all Americans owned homes and most lived in the city. This was when mortgages involved high down payments and interest rates. To incite growth after the Great Depression, the Federal Housing Administration was created, instilling low interest loans and longer 25 and 30-year mortgages. This spurred significant home ownership. At the same time, cities dominated by pollution with no regulation on contaminants became less desirable. This combined with the expansion of the highway system through the Federal Aid Highway Act, the mass production of affordable automobiles, and the prevalence of white flight created a situation where leaving the city to the suburbs became the new American dream. As people continually left the city, the domino effect was inevitable. Businesses are inclined to establish stores in affluent places, which soon became the suburbs. Where businesses move, and where jobs move, people move if they are able. Typically, affluent residents, businesses, and jobs congregate in a certain direction outside the city, encompassing about a 90-degree angle. This creates what Christopher Lineberger calls the favored quarter in his book, The Option of Urbanism. The favored quarter is where the majority of private investment occurs because of its close proximity to people who are willing to spend. This less dense area also receives more public investment compared to a more dense city neighborhood. If this money is broken down into a per-person basis, high-density city dwellers are subsidizing low-density suburban residents for the same infrastructure to reach the same amount of people. Back in the city, less people and businesses equates to a smaller tax base, leading to a decline in public investments towards schools, public transportation, social services, and many more. It is important to note that construction after the 1950s began to prioritize building infrastructure quickly and for as little money as possible. While some buildings from the early 1900s still maintain their structural integrity today, buildings built after the 1950s have a short life that leads to abandonment or demolition as sprawl continues to move outward. Constructing buildings takes an immense amount of materials and energy. Therefore, high-quality infrastructure should be prioritized, not the pace of the return on investment. In addition, there is a recent trend within the past decade of people moving back into the cities. The reasons for this trend are extensive and complex. However, generally, young generations now prefer walkable, more vibrant areas. So what is there to do with this newfound demand for walkable spaces and the surplus of abandoned buildings due to sprawl? Is there a way to utilize old infrastructure for the long term and avoid starting new buildings from scratch?
One important aspect to focus on is the restructuring of urban design so that the built environment provides the resources and amenities for a functioning modern society while also creating sustainable development that stops environmental degradation and improves the impacts humanity has on the natural environment. The future of urbanism should operate and function just as any other living organism. The incorporation of natural environmental amenities such as ponds and vegetation bring more awareness to society of the environment in which humanity inhabits. Just as important, this would enhance the quality of the built environment while also enhancing its natural counterpart. Also, with transportation being an enormous contributor to our energy and emissions problems, these designs should focus on more walkable and eco-friendly means of commuting. The solution to our problems is all around us, meaning that we can learn a lot from nature's designs. Utilizing the concepts of biomimicry and systems thinking can provide the tools required to achieve these sustainable measures.
It's the process of looking at something like a leaf and trying to figure out how to make a better solar cell. It's become popular in the design disciplines, mainly I think because people are looking for more sustainable ways to do things. And organisms know how to do this. After 3.8 billion years, life has learned what works and what's appropriate on the planet. And right now, that's what the people trying to redesign our world are looking for.
Let's take a look at some of the specific examples that are being implemented around the world to execute these techniques through an amalgam of sustainable practices. Gwangyo Power Center in Korea, combining nature and architecture. The shifting of the floors causes a counter effect of large hollow atriums housing the retail, office, and residential spaces. The design incorporates these facilities with public spaces to collaborate the built environment with the natural. The nature of the design not only brings these elements together, but also improves the climate and ventilation, while reducing the energy and water consumption. Design Park and Plaza in Korea. The purpose of the Design Park was to establish a cultural hub at the center of one of the busiest and most historic districts of the region. The integration of the plaza and park as one unifies architecture and nature. Park Gringrin in Japan. This design provides cohesion between private industry, educational facilities, and residencies, all meant to serve as a hub of global commerce. The utilization of bending stress values to create unique curvatures minimizes structural deformation. Food City in Dubai. Described by GCLA as the marriage of landscape and urbanism. It incorporates a variety of proposals to reduce overall energy consumption through concentrated solar collectors, towers covered in thin photovoltaic cells, piezoelectric pads in pedestrian areas, and methane harvesting through sewage percolation tanks. Also, water conservation measures are proposed as they are critical in their climate. Some of these include atmospheric water harvesting, gray water recycling, and the application of hydroponic sand to minimize water loss. A deep tower in Singapore. The purpose here is the rehabilitation of a non-organic site. Classified as zero culture, the natural system has been completely devastated. The design has incorporated well-planted facades and terraces with indigenous plants surrounding the building to emulate the natural environment that has been diminished. With the consideration of the human species population growth, the need for sustainable development is vital for the protection of the environment and its resources. It is our responsibility to evolve modern urbanism, which is degrading its natural counterpart. This presentation alludes to some of the practices that should be taken into consideration with the restoration of the built environment in creating a more sustainable future for humanity.